Hey
Hey
Nelson.
Stan, how are you?
Good. How are you?
I've pinged Ongress about the uh, Postgres transactions timing out.
So we think there's a database issue that might be leading to all this?
There was something happening in the database before the Sidekick queues began to dip below their apdex or SLOs. So
Let's
I
see.
am taking a look at the dashboards that we have for Patroni stuff, but there are the dashboards that we have available appear to be
Are they working?
somewhat incorrect. There's a bunch of like phrasing in the titles that say that these graphs are incorrect. I'm not really seeing very much information coming through these, at least not the top
There
ones.
was a big burst of errors and slow locks in the last 30 minutes or so. They have since died down.
Good.
I wonder what that was.
I don't know what that was either. I was expecting to see some sort of a failover or something like that happening, but I don't see any evidence of a failover yet.
All right, we'll post the. Let's see. I'll post in your incident. I'll post the big spikes I see right now.
So for this um, alert that I'm seeing right now, where there's a large number of overdue pulp mirror jobs
Yeah,
on
that
the
may
order
just
of
be that may be a
10,880.
symptom of the problem, right? Like that may
Yeah,
like suddenly the database or something got really slow and things couldn't run anymore.
yeah. The database appeared to slow down in terms of CPU usage. Um,
Yeah, it dropped.
Context switches fluctuated, plunged, load per CPU fluctuated, plunged briefly, momentarily. It looks like it's back to normal now. So what I'm hoping is that the Sidekick queues will stabilize uh, soon.
Yeah.
So
So
we'll see.
so do we know what error? Those are just timeout errors? I mean, let's see what happened the last.
Well, so apparently, at least that's one manifestation of whatever it was that happened. So that timeout, those Postgres timeouts preceded or began to
Yeah.
expose themselves immediately in about, I'd say, 5 or 10 minutes prior to
Right.
the Sidekick
Let's see the
apdex
timing. The
plunge.
apdex plunging is what time did it plunge?
Yeah.
I
So
don't.
it does actually look like the Sidekick stuff is actually returning to normal.
Okay, yeah, so 1609 is way late. I mean, if you look at the graphs I just posted in your issue, it looks like at 1800 it started climbing, errors started climbing 1800. And so 1804 you started seeing timeouts. So that's around 1800 something happened. Okay, yeah, apdex looks like it's, yeah, area ratios went up, queues.
Oh, I see what you're saying. You're right. So the Sidekick, that's interesting that I didn't see any alerts about it until afterward. I guess it's just because it's on a delay.
Might be delayed.
Probably says, okay, well, I'm not going to warn you about SLO violations until after a specific period of time has elapsed.
Um, so
So this
what are these
timeline is just about
errors?
what we were alerted for. That makes sense.
Yeah. So the question is, so if we think this is a database issue, what happened in this time frame?
That is a good question.
Other graphs tell us anything else about this? Mostly I want to. Wait, did we have tuple statistics? Yeah, there we go. Tuple statistics. Can I see a big burst of something?
So usually I can tell just from taking a look at these Patroni overview, like which of the nodes are Which of the Petroni nodes is the leader?
Sometimes like
Um,
a failover, you mean?
right, but I can't see it. I have zero visibility into that from these from these this dashboard, this Petroni overview dashboard. This used to be very useful, and I do not have it now. So now what I need to do is I need to find. I have documented somewhere the methods by which I go about determining which of the Petroni nodes is the leader. And that's usually really simple to, it's pretty simple to get, but I just forget the command to do it right now. So I'm gonna have to look that up, I guess.
There was a giant spike in writes. Let's see. Resource label events. What's that? Let me rejoin this. Let me rejoin this meeting.
Another thing that I've been tracking is I have an open incident regarding the get service being fluctuating below SLO. Occasionally, but that's only for the canary stage. And occasionally there's another one of those for the API service as well. Greetings, Lucas. Hmm. The storage used on all of the nodes jumped by about 0.02 terabytes, around 1800. Um, hey, Stan, here's a question. So I just saw something resolve in the alerts channel for GCP quota usage of SSD total gigabytes nearing a limit. So this had happened earlier, and I'd created a production change issue to remedy that by requesting an increase of the SSD total gigabytes quota. I'm not sure whether or not that would have had any effect, but going to look at this chart here. Let's see here. I'll post it in the Zoom chat also. I noticed that the SSD total gigabytes approached 100% of its quota usage and may have reached it, but I don't know whether or not our Grafana dashboards here are sufficient resolution to accurately present whether or not that was completely 100% or not. In any case, that preceded these errors and so on by about 10 minutes. It stayed near the ceiling of 100% for about 30 minutes.
Wow. So this is the
And I
limit,
know,
but this is the limit on the allocated, or is it usage? It
I
actually,
don't, I can't imagine that it's region quotas. And so I know that the Petroni nodes are use SSDs, but I can't imagine that that would cause an outage like, or any kind of degradation like this.
it doesn't
I'm
seem like it because the timing doesn't really look right. Right? Because like at 1800 we were already at 99%, and then this thing resolved at like within
30 minutes later, 10 minutes
10
after
minutes
the, yeah.
later. So I don't think
Good.
it
Okay.
doesn't. It's not good. Like we should. I don't. I think that's the limit on provisioned SSD,
Right.
right? Like we can't provision
Yeah,
it
that's right.
now. Like it's
Right,
not like
exactly. If we
we
create a
can't use
new
more, right?
virtual machine, yeah,
Right.
exactly. So,
So
okay,
I
good,
think that's something we need to watch for, but it does seem like
good.
Like based on this data,
Yeah,
it's
no.
resolved in 10 minutes. Something caused CI build needs to be locked because a simple select one didn't even go through, right? You get these statement timeouts,
Mm-hmm,
all
mm-hmm.
these locks, and that corresponds to this as well. So, this graph to me sounds like, the database started analyzing and say, hey, there's a lot of dead tuples here. I'm going to start vacuuming it up and I'm going to lock this table. Although I thought it's supposed to not lock. Does it lock the table completely when it does the vacuum? I thought
I'm not sure about that.
I gotta check with our Ungress folks to
I
see.
pinged the Ongress folks, but I did not ask them to join the channel. Should I go ahead and do that?
Are they around? Might be
Gerardo is Gerardo Hersig.
worth asking them this question. So like everything resolved, but like how many rows in the CI build needs
Yeah,
to?
he's looking at the build needs also.
Okay, so he's on the same path.
So with they're repeated all over the Postgres log as a timed out query, and he's asking if that could point to some new feature or a new deploy or something else.
We haven't. I don't think we've deployed anything new, have we?
No, the only thing that got deployed was a new version of Gitly to staging.
This
That was a while ago. That was like an hour ago.
I actually don't know what. Yeah, so that hasn't changed. But what might have changed is, we might have gotten a job that suddenly
Mm-hmm.
did something to that table. Let's say inserted. It didn't insert, but maybe it just. I mean, I'm looking at this table. It has what 9 million rows. 9 million rows. I didn't realize this table even existed until today.
Hmm.
Is it? Let me see what this build need business is. I think it's. Oh, I think this is the. This is a relatively. Let's see. This table was added 4 months ago for directed. So directed acyclic graphs. Okay. So I assume this is if you get a CI job that uses this feature, it's possible that it inserted a bunch of rows. Like maybe we had like some, but I didn't see in this graphs a lot of inserts. But I mean, maybe it just happened. There were a lot of writes, but that could have been from out of vacuum. But inserts, I didn't see a huge uptick unless it just happened in the last. Hi,
Hello,
Gerard.
Gerardo. Thank you for joining
Hi
us.
guys. Gotcha.
Appreciate
I
it.
think we're all looking at the same thing. Something happened on CI build needs. Um, you see there's a huge increase in dead tuples, and then I think vacuuming must have gotten rid of all of them, and once it finished, it went back to normal.
So Stan was wondering if that table gets locked when vacuuming happens. He notes there's a lot of rows, 9 million or so.
And I see like simple select calls just got timed out here, right? You see this huge backlog of locks during this time.
All right. I was about watching the query itself, try to catch that kind of situation.
Mm-hmm.
So maybe related to.
Oh, so does auto vacuuming lock the table until it's finished?
No, it's
It
not
doesn't,
locking.
right?
No, no,
So
no, no.
why
No.
would we get, or unless it's a slow query, then you think? I mean, is it possible that, I mean, we see these locked, there's this giant queue, right? Something's
Yeah.
locked. Something locked. So it's not as
It might
possible.
be locking some page or some this at this page level, not table level. But
Not
you can
finished.
have a point. I will check out a little more.
Okay. Let's see what this is. Everybody waking up 227-22271. I would like to know who that is.
22271 is a specific process.
I'm sorry, that's current logs?
No, this is like during the time frame of this incident, there was a huge.
The incident itself is calling under control?
It's back to normal, right? Because
Okay, okay.
like I think it
Good to
has to
know.
do with this whole time frame here, right? There was a huge
All right.
20 minute period where there was a lot of errors, and then it's gone again.
Stan, I'm going to go ahead and close the issue or the incident.
Okay.
All right.
So I guess I'm trying to understand, like, how is that? How did this happen?
Yeah.
It's clearly something's blocking, like something's either holding onto a row or the table, right?
Yeah, it's the record all the time. It's that process ID all the time. All right.
I don't suppose there's a way to like look in the past on what that thing was.
Probably I could find something. I have to follow that thread. That's for sure.
Oh, is it? Oh, actually, is it this? I mean, is it the update of the project statistics that's causing this? This seems to be a common theme.
That was happening the last issue we have. In fact, the issue was something related to an NFS. But I
Thought we,
remember watching that table.
Yeah, I mean,
I thought we just moved something. I think
I
it
thought we
just
moved
moved
out of
to
the
an after commit.
yeah, we put it outside the transaction, but I'm wondering if, well, let me make sure that change actually made it. I think it did, but um,
Any chance you could paste the link to that particular MR or change or issue to the incident, Stan? I was not aware of this, that the refresh statistics or update statistics situation.
yeah, I gotta find it. I think Camille wrote it, so let me. Size after commit. Did it get deployed? Let's see. 6 days ago, it should have been deployed, right? Let's see. Oh no, it's only on Canary. Huh. Well, that might be why. At least it's 21 minutes ago. Okay. All right. So. Uh, Let me confirm that they don't have this. Yeah, I confirm that this change isn't on production yet. So it's very possible that because the CI was trying to update these statistics, it was holding a transaction open and blocking CI build needs. So I think the RCA here is going to be pretty straightforward. Deploy this thing in production as soon as possible.
Great. What specifically was getting destroyed there that update statistics happens after?
So this is after, I think after a job finishes. Let me think. Like when do you actually update the
I think it's artifact upload.
artifact upload? That's right. So you upload an artifact. We go, okay, we need to update the size of the disk usage, right?
Okay.
So like anything you did, you inserted a bunch of rows into this table is going to be held in this transaction until we finish updating these statistics. The problem is these updates take a while to run sometimes.
Is this a possible vector for DOS in terms of could somebody just decide I'm going to upload a bunch of different artifacts and cause this this after hook to create like
Yeah,
multiple ones of these?
yeah, it's possible. I think I suspect you would need to have it on a project that has a lot of jobs and a lot of um, uh, well, I think it doesn't have to be a lot of jobs. I think anytime you just cause this update to happen a lot, right? You upload a lot of artifacts, you trigger all these statistics, you have other rows that you've inserted as part of the CI job. Um, yeah, I think you can cause this problem. So probably the reason why we were getting all these dead tuples is because we had a lot of uh, open rows that hadn't been closed by the transaction, right? So the vacuuming couldn't do its thing. I don't know how you get this many. I guess you either, yeah, I don't think I fully understand the CI builds needs table. I think every time we have a directed acyclic graph in the GitLab CI YAML, we might be inserting rows. But do we delete rows from that table? I don't know. I have to go ask Camille or look at the code. Um, but yeah, I think you could induce this if you were, if you had you figure out the access pattern here.
Okay.
Gerardo, does that make sense?
It makes sense, yeah. I'm not sure that the tuples is causing that much loneliness.
No, it may just be a symptom of it, right? It just may
Yeah.
be a symptom of the fact that we just, we've got a lot of transactions open. Should we
Yeah.
see that in the metrics then? We should see a lot of idles and transaction calls.
That's a good question. I know.
Don't we have a Postgres process list or something like that? We used to, at least. Is it in the overview?
I hope not. I don't think
The
that
overview
particular
scares me a
dashboard is
lot.
very useful right now.
Is it in the tuple stat? We used to have one that had like this is the
Mm-hmm.
well, I'm gonna go. Even
In
though
any
it's
case, I I'm not sure if we will get those as idle intersection because they are active but waiting. That's not the same.
oh, that's not the same. They're not, oh, right, because they're not actually. They're just waiting to insert, right? They're just waiting. The database is taking a while to
When
insert.
the when it's idle intersection is
Just
begin of transaction and do just something waiting for an answer or anything.
got it, right?
I don't I don't believe this is that situation.
Right. It's kind of
I
crazy.
was trying to.
Are you
I
trying
was
to?
trying to catch that. I was trying to catch that process ID that you spot right there.
Yeah. I think this is what it is, though, right? This PGID is the PID, and then
I found no to vacuum doing something nasty in the middle of this. Seems like a simple connection, regular connection.
mhm.
I do see also those another process holding logs. I have to watch to see the process 97166 appears a lot also as a blocking holding some lock. I don't know which table is locking.
Oh, interesting. Is this deletion? Is somebody deleting something here? This is interesting here.
Stan, I'm seeing something. Oh, what are you seeing?
I'm seeing, I'm seeing a bunch of updates, but then I'm also seeing this delete, which
Hmm.
makes me
Hey,
wonder if this is actually somebody deleting a project, and we were, because the way we delete, we may be causing lots of, we might be holding something in law, like a giant transaction, right? I mean,
Yeah,
hey,
it
Stan,
really does seem like a
take
delete.
take a look at this. So, could this couldn't possibly have affected anything that we're looking at, could it? Notice the deployment to Canary
Uh-huh.
within that time period.
No, this seems like a psychic issue, like something that's some psychic, and I'm starting to think that deletion, someone user deleted a project that had a lot of builds, and that causes all these updates to happen. I mean, actually, but these are increasing though. I think are they increasing? Storage.
Okay.
I'm not sure. CID. But the fact that it's trying to get active services and all this stuff, I guess it doesn't. I mean, it's not necessarily in the same. Just feel like the project deletion got kicked off and then just hose our system. Breached. What's the other PID that was problematic? Oh, the fact that that's inserting things here. Oh, that could just be. This may not be. Let's. Okay, well that rules out the vacuuming because it's basically couldn't vacuum. What's this guy? Well, that's 37168. That's not very useful, is it? Is the migration? Like, what is going on here? Is this a new migration that just ran? I'm very confused what I'm looking at here. This looks like a migration to me. Did we just? Oh, well, that would do some. That would take a while. So maybe this is correlated with the deployment. Maybe we launched a migration that changed the schema.
I don't even understand that change though. Artifacts not null on the needs table?
Does anybody see a migration that just did this? Oh yeah, let's see. That's 6 days ago. There was a add artifacts, the CI build. So this migration must have just run. And this is I see. So this migration is actually bad. Where is it? This migration it locks the table basically. This is what happened. So because there's 9 million rows, it caused a ton. This is isn't this designed to do this in batches? Yeah, it is, without locking the entire table. Oh, it's got to love source graph, right? But what probably happened is we had CI build still going, and this was trying to set null, try to set this column to not null, and as a result, you get, wow, that is a long, how long is that? So this,
Is that 483,000 milliseconds?
I believe so. What, how
Yeah,
long
it's
is
like
that?
an 8 minutes.
8 minutes, okay. So this, well, so there's a bunch of migrations that did run. But this one actually, is this the actual one? 18, actually, which one is it? 1802. Okay, so this took 8 minutes. So this actually, this is what happened, right? That during that 8 minutes, we hosed our CI system that was trying to do something.
Oh, I see. Create index without concurrently going on.
On other things. I mean, these are, what are these? Are import failures. I assume that this is also a long migration.
Have to be
But
careful
Yeah,
with that.
I'm a little confused how a migration which was linked to an MR that was merged 6 days ago could be invoked now, and why would, like, was there any kind of notification? Could there have been any kind of notification that that sort of thing was about to happen?
Isn't the announcement channel, does this have anything?
Let me see.
1037, it said Canary just finished deployment. So I think this matches. We should be able to see the migrations, right? Which one is the migration? QA. Oh, here it is. Great. Look at this. Has anybody seen any CI build needs recently? Offset 1000. Okay, so it's trying to do this, but there's 9 million rows, so it's taking its sweet time.
So this migration, which is supposed to take place in Canary, is affecting the production database?
It did, yes. Canary talks to the production database, right? The Canary,
Right,
the only
okay.
thing it's doing is differently is serving out latest application code to the web connections, right?
Hmm.
So this is kind of a smoking gun. Unfortunately this is so long we don't have the full output, but you get the picture. We know this is a cause, right? We didn't even know it. It feels like we need to call out when these migrations start a little bit louder, because this is
Yeah.
this is a problem.
Thanks, Dan. Thank you, Gerardo.
All right.
Thank you, Lucas.
All right. I hope everybody learned something today. I learned something today, certainly. All right.
Okay, guys, I had a couple of pans in the fires, and this one put me in the weeds, so I'm going to get back to what I was working on.
Cool.
Stan, thank you for your help.
Sure.
Thank you also, Lucas and Gerardo. Thanks for joining us, Gerardo.
All right.
No problem.
Thanks, everyone.
No problem.
Thanks.
Have a good rest of your day.
Same. Bye.
Bye-bye.